Web services can be built in two ways: SOAP way and RESTful web services way. Today we will look into this kind of web services in more detail and also explore what is the best way to build your web service if you have to build any web service from the scratch. So let's start with SOAP web services. Here, SOAP stands for Simple Object Access Protocol. SOAP web services are around for some time now, and the primary format that they use to exchange requests and responses are XML. SOAP web services support many protocols. HTTP is the primary one, but it supports other protocols also, like SMTP. SOAP web services are generally based on WSDLs, which is an XML contract that defines all the data and services offered by the given web service. All SOAP web services are secured by WS security, and the most common tool for testing any SOAP web services is SOAP UI. Coming to RESTful web services, this is more like an architecture style to build any web services. This is very lightweight, but it supports only HTTP protocol, and the primary way it exchanges data is using JSON, which is human readable and most popular these days. RESTful web services are documented using Swagger. So if you want to know more about any RESTful web services, like how many APIs it exposes and what are the request and response data format, Swagger documentation is most popular among all the documentation that RESTful web services use. The best testing tool to test any RESTful web services is Postman. Let's look through what is the best way of designing a web service. Is it SOAP or is it REST? When we are considering to build a new web service, the most important criteria is business requirement and end user. Couple of questions that you should consider is where this particular web service is going to get used. Will it be just an internal company web service, talking between machines to machine using XML? Or you are going to expose your web service to the outside world and different users from mobile browser, we are going to use your RESTful web service. If you are going to be using your web service only internally between machine to machine and XML is your preferable format for data exchange, then SOAP is good to use. But if you are going to expose your web service to the outside world, then maybe REST is a better way to go. Now, this is a very common misconception that SOAP is slow because it uses XML for data exchange and REST is fast because it uses JSON format. While considering this fact, I would encourage you to go through the article that I have mentioned below. It was presented by Mr. David Lee, where he tried to break the myth between JSON being fast and XML being slow. It totally depends how you are formatting your request and response. If your request and response formats, maybe JSON or XML, have same size, then the format will transfer over the web in same amount of time. No one is going to be slow or no one is going to be fast. This is a good article to have a look when deciding your web service approach. Coming to the third point, it's caching. Caching is a feature that is available to the RESTful web services. But is it going to be useful to you for your particular web service requirements? Let's say you are building a web service to expose some stock option prices. Now, stock industry is very volatile and the price changes all the time. So if you decide to use this caching approach and cache a particular stock option value for say 5 minutes of time, the value may not be viable in 5 minutes. So if you use cache and decide to expose the same value for 5 minutes, the data will be stale and nobody will be able to use your API. So even though you are using RESTful API and using caching feature, it is not going to be useful depending on your business requirement. So please consider this approach while deciding. Now coming to HTTP word binding that is available to the RESTful web services. Now we all know a properly designed RESTful web service use HTTP word binding. Get for getting the response again and again, put for creating a resource, post for updating a resource, and delete methods for deleting a particular resource. But most of the web services available don't use this particular HTTP word binding, so they don't get the benefit of using the RESTful web services at the first place. So if you're only going to be using the get and the post method and do all your operation using only these two methods, then there is not much difference between SOAP and RESTful web services. The last point and the most important point while deciding the web service approach is security. SOAP web services are available for a long period of time now, and the way to secure your SOAP web services is WS security. This is an industry standard. But when you are building your RESTful web services, it does not come with a default security features. You have to explore and decide on the security features and how you are going to implement your security for your RESTful web services on your own. So this is going to be a deciding criteria while you design your web service, either the SOAP way or the REST way. Now to draw a conclusion from all the points that we discussed above. If you are going to be using your web services for business processing between machine to machine and XML is your preferable format, then maybe SOAP is the best way to go. But if you are going to be exposing your web service to the outside world and you need the flexibility of caching, using different data formats, and HTTP word binding and such features, then REST is the way to go. You will also have the flexibility of deciding your own security when you use the RESTful web services. So consider all the points we have discussed in the video and make the best possible decision suitable to your business requirement and end users. Thanks for watching.